Welcome. This is the Freakcast, and this is our intro song. It is by Kids in a Daze. Like an anthem, and the chorus is just awesome. So I love this song because what it says, and it is by Kids in the Daze, but it's my son Dawson, or our son Dawson, and he wrote the song. I've said this before, but he wrote the song when he was actually living in like a really small garage apartment thing in Austin, and just trying to find his way and keep pursuing his dream. And the whole point of the song is that it had you have to stay true to what it is that you believe and what you believe is your purpose, and keep pressing toward it and not give up. And so that's what this is all about. So there we go. So I like to play that. That's going to be it's kind of like my anthem, our anthem for this show, because I believe that as we fight like a freak, and the whole idea of the Freakcast is that bringing people on that are staying true to what they believe, they're staying true to their purpose, and even though it's hard and difficult, and maybe they have a diagnosis or they've encountered something along the way that is difficult. And so for me, if you don't know about me, my name is Stephen Carroll. I am the head freak of this show, and so I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma cancer in July of 22. And so I went to my first treatment and wore this shirt. And it was, interestingly enough, I got this shirt 25 years ago. It was from a DC Talk concert. And this is the color of multiple myeloma, is maroon. So I had two of them. And so I just began to wear this shirt. And then my sister one day was like, hey, you're fighting like a freak. And it just stuck. And so if you have not, make sure that you go to fightlikeafreak.com. And you can subscribe to our podcast and subscribe to the blogs I'll be sending out. We're working on that. And the podcast just got uploaded to Spotify. And so I wanted to show you where that is here real quick. And then we are going to get our guest on because I'm excited to have her. So let me show you this real quick. Here it is. Rachia. Oh, I gotta hit this button. It is here. So you can go to Spotify, you can subscribe to the Freakcast, and you can follow, and it will be on iTunes as well coming up. It takes a little bit longer to get it to iTunes. So we're excited about having that as well. Tonight, our guest is super special, and her name is Sydney Shelton. So we're going to bring her on right now. Here she is. Yay! I need to get one of those applause things. So, hey, Sydney, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It was a long day. I had treatment today, so had treatment, and then I had to, after I got done with treatment, I had to go get a construction trailer and take it to the Dallas dump. And you've never lived, I don't think, until you go to the Dallas dump. It's
I was about to say, sounds like so much fun.
It's awful. That's what's crazy about it, though. I wish I got a picture of it. When you have to drive up this, of course, it's a huge hill. And you take this big trailer up there, and then you have to back it in. It's just, you're walking on crap. And but then when you leave, you're going out with this hill overlooks this, like you can see this beautiful view of the Dallas skyline. And so I was trying to stop to take a picture of it, and these guys behind me started honking, and I was like, whatever. But so it's kind of this weird situation where you're at a dump, but then you see the Dallas skyline. It looks beautiful. So anyway, enough about that. So that's it. I know you had treatment, last week?
Yeah, on Monday, and it was one of those situations where they're like, you're like one white blood count away from not being able to do treatment.
Oh.
And they were like, so we're going to go ahead and do treatment. And it's like, as soon as I took the medicine, I was sick.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
That's awful. Well, I want to hear more about all that as far as just your journey and everything. Um, and because it's just, I think people, unless you've been through it, right? And the treatment that you get is definitely different than what I get, because, and we can talk more about that too, but um, it's just good for people to be able to hear your story, and to hear what your journey has been. And so we're going to get to that in a minute. But I just want to thank you for being an encouragement to me. And you guys are going to get to hear Sydney and her story a little bit about where she's come from and what she's been through, and her and Travis and their journey together as well. So, but let's talk about how we began our journey knowing one another. So, um, so I worked at a church called Temple Baptist Church in Little Rock, Arkansas, and Sydney's parents are Bobby and Kathy Stoner, and then her uncle. It's her uncle and aunt is Delis and Sherry, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and so her
My
uncle and
mom's
aunt.
brother. Yeah.
That's your Delis is your mom's brother, right? So all these guys were really we were all connected and super. Bobby and Kathy are just. I mean, they're some of the best people ever, right? I mean, I know they're your parents, but
A little
um,
biased, but
well, sure, you should be, right? So I'm trying to remember how old. What year were you born?
93.
So we had started at Temple in '91, and
That
so
was when
you
Haley was born.
okay, so that's right. And so you've got one sister, right?
Hmm.
Okay, and that's Haley, and so I got to know Bobby and Kathy, and then you're born in '93, and so we moved on to a different deal in 1998. So I guess you were 5. We moved off, but um, you don't remember any of those days, do you?
Not really, but but I remember every time we'd go back to Temple, everyone would be like, "I remember when you were little,"
Yeah,
and I try to remember who they are, but
yeah. Well, Bobby and Kathy were so involved. I mean, in so many things, and just such. I mean, tell me about that. I mean, as far as your parents go, I mean, obviously on this journey, I mean, how important is it to have family around you as you're moving forward? Are you going through this?
I, I- if I didn't have my family or Austin, I, I don't know if I'd be here right now.
Right.
um,
Yeah.
it's yeah, you make me cry, but
I wouldn't try to do that.
no, it's okay. It's just like I mean, I'm trying to think of the words for it. It's I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's just a support network because I mean,
Yeah.
you just have to have it, right? And then
I mean, I've
and I
called my
know like
in the middle of the night bawling and
right,
but
right, and it's just good to have somebody there. I know that my dad passed away in June. He was 77, but when I called and told him, I mean, here I am. I'm obviously old enough to be your dad and all that stuff. Too old. I'm not too old. I don't feel old,
not too old.
but
No.
um, I mean, it just parents, having that network of support that check on you and sister and friends and everything means everything,
Hmm.
and I think that's,
You really find
part
out
of it.
who you have in your
Quick.
corner when
Yep.
something like this happens.
Yeah. Quickly. And you found out a whole lot about ourselves as well. So anyway, that's how we connected. And so then I, um, obviously knew that you had been diagnosed and then just kind of, I think I talked to Bobby at some point, and then, and just kind of familiar with your journey a little bit. And then, um, when then I got diagnosed, it kind of amplified everything. I always tell
Mm.
people it's kind of like when you get a different car, you begin to see that car everywhere you go. And then,
Yeah.
so when you get diagnosed with cancer, whatever it is, I mean, you begin to connect with other people and hear their stories, and you're encouraged by their stories and such as that. You just need it's that network. And I think I'm drawn to people like that have mentality similar to what I have. That are willing to be honest and raw about it, and just real. And I love the way that you have approached everything. So, but enough of that. Let's tell us a little bit about just how this all began, because I know what you're 30 now, right?
Hmm.
So you were
Um,
27 when you were diagnosed.
28, and so like
20. Okay.
I turned a few months before.
Okay. Well, go ahead
But
and tell us a little bit about that. Yeah.
yeah, I don't even know, like thinking back, I don't know when the pain or issues like really started. I just thought I had like stomach pains like everybody else does. And then they just gradually got worse. Um, and like if I even like think back to 2018, I lost a lot of weight and I just thought, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it. Um, and because I mean, like I was doing CrossFit and stuff, so I thought
Right.
maybe it was from that. Um,
I was kind of
coming,
in a similar situation with that. Like I had started doing this thing called Octavia, and so I was
mm,
changing my diet. I mean, I'm like, they were all like, "Oh, you're." I lost 40 pounds or whatever pretty quickly, and they're all like, "You're a superstar at this," And I'm like, well, turned out really wasn't. I was anemic, kind of like you.
yeah. And then I tried. I thought I had like dairy or gluten intolerance or some kind of dietary thing. Like I even took, the Everly Well test. I took one of those dietary tests.
Yeah.
Nothing came back. Um, I eliminated gluten, eliminated dairy, nothing. And I was like in pain at work. I was so bad. I called the gastro Arkansas and I had I had to lie. I was like,
Yeah.
no, I was like, I need to be seen, but I was like, there's blood in my stool, and they're like, okay, we'll get you in. So I had to say
Right.
that there was blood in my stool for them to let me in. And I wake up from the colonoscopy. I'm still coming down from anesthesia, and he makes Austin come inside, and this is 2020, so this is COVID.
Right.
So, Austin's waiting outside in his car, but he makes him come in, pulls him into an office, tells us, I'm 98% sure this is cancer. We couldn't even get a foot inside your colon. And the
Oh
colon's like
wow.
5 feet long.
Yeah.
Uh, and he was like, we couldn't even get a foot inside. We're like, you need to go have a CT scan and we're scheduling you for surgery like right away.
Oh my gosh.
And Austin's like rubbing my back so hard and I'm still coming down from anesthesia. So I'm just like, okay, yep,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
fine.
When did it? So how? I mean, when did it? When did you kind of come to grips with the fact of hey, this is um, what's it? This is something that you know, because that's what we talk about, right? That moment when you recognize, okay, I've got what, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
It wasn't until I woke up out of surgery because the gastroenterologist didn't even want to confirm that it was cancer. I think
Right.
he should have, but he didn't want to confirm it.
Why didn't he want to do that?
He was like, I want a surgeon or a,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
He just kept saying, I'm 98% sure it's cancer. Um,
Right.
so I guess it's because he didn't run any pathology on it. Maybe that's why he didn't.
Right.
But we moved to St. Louis over the weekend. And that Monday, I had to be back for surgery at Chi St. Vincent in Little Rock. Had the surgery, and I woke up with an ostomy that I didn't know I was going to get.
Oh man.
Um, and he said it's stage 3. It spread to one lymph node, and we got that lymph node. You'll probably just have 3 months or 6 months of chemotherapy to keep it away. Healed from surgery, got the clear to go to St. Louis. I show up at my hospital in St. Louis, go to the cancer center, do scans again, and they said, no, it's stage 4. It's
Mm.
metastasized to your liver and your lungs. How Little Rock missed it, I don't know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't
Well, I
until I
think.
got surgery that I was like, this is real. And
Wow. I think it's kind of like you hear that story every time, and I think like for me, just being quote unquote misdiagnosed or missing it, and then it's almost like there's so much going on, and you go from one thing to the next, and I mean, in your case, Sydney, I mean, it's like you go from one shock to the next shock to the next shock, right? It's not you're kind
yeah,
of you're kind of stair stepping your way through this thing, and so you literally went into surgery thinking one thing and you came out it with completely different.
Yeah. And an ostomy that I had for a year. It's been reversed now, so
Oh, that's good. That's
yeah.
good. So when it was like, so tell me like, and this is just so you guys know, let me show you. This is I got some good pictures here that I wanted to show to you, so you can kind of, this is Travis and Sydney on their wedding day. What? And
Austin.
y'all got married. I mean Austin. I'm sorry. Why did I say Travis? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, Austin, if you're listening. That was my bad. Um, I don't know what that. So this is what year did you get married?
2018.
All right. So this is Austin and Sydney in 2018, and then and this is you guys. Where y'all at here? New York? Is this New York?
That was our honeymoon.
So this is pre diagnosis, and I always
That
try to say
I
you and
lost
I've
all
talked
that.
about that. Do what?
That's when I lost all that weight.
Oh yeah, you were killing it. That's the way I felt about it. Like I was like, man, I'm just. But at the same time, and that's part of my story. But we're not about me tonight, but I totally get it. And I like for people to see this because this is before at this moment this whole thing is happening, um, in inside of you, and you have no idea, right? And
No
and then you
idea.
go through everything that you just talked about, and I think, and this isn't being dramatic. This isn't some kind of I'm not trying to be dramatic. This is real life. This is how you have to handle it. And then there's that moment. It's like anybody, like whatever when you face tragedy or whatever you face and a diagnosis, you've gone for a period of time, and at this point that's what's going on in your life and you never even think about it. And then how much time later, I mean, pretty shortly after this picture right here, I guess you found out, correct? Is that right?
Yeah, like a year and a half probably.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you guys that are listening and you're not watching, this is it's just a picture of Austin and Sydney and New York, and it's just kind of like pre-diagnosis. And so what happened, like when you found out as far as the metastasized thing, because you went from thinking, okay, we're going to remove a part of this chemo for 6 months, and then you come out of surgery and you're like, no, wait, this thing's metastasized to my kid. Is it your liver and your lungs? Or
hmm
yeah. And so what happened next? I mean, what'd you have to do next?
So I still had to heal from surgery completely
Right.
before I was cleared to do chemo, and I had to do 12 rounds of oxaliplatin infusion,
Yeah.
and I had to do uh, I might get these drugs wrong, but dexamethasone,
Yeah. That's a
the
steroid.
steroid. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
take
had
that.
that. There was something else, and then I think I got Avastin with that, which I'm still on Avastin.
Yeah.
Um, and the oxaliplatin. So this was from I think I think I started in January. Maybe this
Is
is
this,
I could be wrong.
what year is that? Is that 2020?
Um, so healing from surgery 2020. Um, maybe I started the end of 2020. I started the very end of 2020.
Yeah.
Um, and I did the 12 rounds, and the oxaliplatin has like platinum in it.
Oh, wow.
And I could be saying this wrong, but I'm pretty sure from what they told me, it's the platinum that causes the cold sensitivity. And so
Okay.
for like 6 months, because I did every other week, and then there's times where they're like, your counts aren't high enough, you can't do treatment today. So
Right.
probably about 7 months, I had to wear gloves to get into the refrigerator. I had to have microwaved water to drink because it was too cold. It would burn my throat, and like my
Yeah.
hands would feel like knives. And then I had like neuropathy issues,
Yeah.
and so yeah, warmed up Dr. Pepper. The yeah,
Whatever it takes, right?
I was so because I was still even in the summer. I had treatment going into summer. I was so ready for ice cold
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
But
And so that was every other week for how long, Sydney?
for 7 months.
7 months. Okay. You may have said that and I missed it. So, And I think that's the deal. And then we kind of pause in that. I mean, you go from, and you and I've talked about this, it's like the reality of facing whatever diagnosis it is, because there's a difference. I don't like to say, that I've got cancer. I'd rather say I've been diagnosed with cancer. That's just a word thing for me.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's you go from that picture, you go from this picture right here, right? And that moment when nothing's going on, and all of a sudden it's like bam, 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 and it's like but each time you have to adjust mentally,
Mhm.
and you have to feel it, and it's like the struggle of all that, and like and the chemo that the what I take is immunotherapy, so it goes after just the bad cells, but what it's a different chemo obviously than that you've had to take for 7 months, every other week. Mine was a different journey, but it's just that, I mean, how do you deal, like, just personally and honestly, it's um like the reality of all that stuff that just keeps hitting you. And I think, like we talked about at the beginning, that's where you've got to have a support network around you, to walk this out. And then and we haven't even breached the financial side of it all. We can talk about that later. But
I
just the
have to
struggle of it,
update you on
because
everything that just happened.
do what?
I have to update you on everything that just happened
Yeah. I want
financially.
you to do that because I want to put Sydney's GoFundMe up at the very end. She's also got some T-shirts, and we can help her, support her as well. But I don't know. You and I've talked about this, just being raw about it, because just the balance between reality and hope, and the balance between the struggle of just having to know what you're having to do, and then navigating all these other things that these people send you, and what you should do, and this cure, and this holistic
A lot of
approach,
those.
and these seeds, and this liquid, and this dog dewormer, and this thing, what I'm saying? It's like all this stuff. I don't know. Tell me how, because you've told me some things that really encourage me, and I mean, for you approaching all that, just kind of talk about how you did that. It'll help other people too, because there's people tonight that are, struggling to know just to get up off the couch, and
I, I did stay on the couch quite a bit,
and there's nothing wrong. And don't hear me wrong. There's nothing wrong with being on the couch. All right.
um,
Listen, you have earned the couch, So
well, well, those first 12 rounds, like we had just moved to St. Louis, and it was also in the middle of
mm,
COVID, and so the only place I saw was my house or the hospital.
oh my gosh.
I didn't know anyone here. Austin
Right.
was, I mean, he needed to go to work, but like he worked a lot, and so
Right.
I had my pets, so my dog
Yeah.
and my cats really got me through it. But I
Yeah.
mean, I just kind of say like if because everyone says like, oh, but you've been so positive through this, but I feel like I don't really know any other way to be because if I
Well,
just sat and wallowed in it, then I might as well just say stop giving me treatment and let the cancer take me.
right. Yeah.
Which people may disagree with me, and that's fine, but that's just how I I I don't really know any other way to be. I'm just the doctors told me to do this. I'm gonna do this and hope and pray
Yeah.
that that's what's gonna not cure it, but maybe fix it.
Right.
And it's it was really helpful. Sorry, I'm gonna have to flip my iPad over so I can charge it.
That's fine. It'll
um,
be cool. Let's be neat. Let's watch this happen. Do you go sideways too? Oh, there you go. That's perfect. I was hoping
um,
you might stay sideways and we could do this. That's perfect. Yeah.
um, ah, but
That actually worked out pretty good.
and then after I finished the 12 rounds of that, I did radiation on my lungs, and then I had to do um, so I do a Signatera test, which is a
What is,
blood test.
okay.
Um, and it's new, so it's not trusted by a lot of doctors.
Right.
But my oncologist at the time really was all about it. And my scans were clear 3 months after I finished radiation. My scans were clear and the blood test came back positive. And so she said, we're starting you on chemo immediately. So I had to start another 12 rounds of a different chemo.
Yeah.
Um, and did that for another 6 months, finished that, and then I've been on pill chemo basically ever since.
So you're just doing pill, but you're going in for now. You're going in for infusion treatments, aren't you?
Yeah, I do Avastin infusion,
Right.
which is it's not a chemo or an immunotherapy, but it just works with the chemo, kind of like a helper to boost it.
Okay.
But
And when you take that and it's mixed with the pill, is that usually what it kind of activates it or whatever, and it can cause the nausea and stuff that you experience? Is that right?
yeah, I don't. They
I
act
don't know.
like
I'm just guessing.
nausea should be handled by Zofran, but for some reason mine is not. It's
Yeah.
like at
Yeah.
least with this pill. And so they're like, "Are the pills helping?" I'm like, Not really."
Right.
And they act like it should be. So I don't know if it's just me and this medication or what, but I it makes me so nauseous. My mom even got me like a relief band. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've heard of those, but they like send shocks into your wrist.
Oh, to
Yeah,
kind
like
of prevent
electric.
nausea.
Yeah. People wear them for like motion sickness on
Yeah.
cruises and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and you were talking about how that whether I don't know if people agree with you or not. Here's what I believe, and you and I've talked about this, is that everybody's journey is different and
Hmm.
everybody's approach. You know what I'm saying? We have to find our own rhythm, and like you said, pray about it and get the counsel that we can get. And I mean, there's some guys out there that I think it's for us, it's always been a combination of that I do take a lot of supplements and juice, and I need to get back on my juice because I do believe that helped for me. And just all that. But um, I don't know. I mean, there's I've talked about certain guys or whatever that have these deals, and you have a guy that had a certain form of cancer, and he changed his diet and went vegetarian and did this and did that, and and but he was at a point where they said, look, you know, um, that was where he's at. He was at that place, and where it was that or nothing else as far as he was concerned, and that's great. But I think for all of us, we just have to pray and walk it out the best we can, and we
I
live
mean,
in a
don't get me
world that
wrong, I
go
have
ahead.
some days,
Do what now?
but I said don't get me wrong, I have days. I mean, you can ask Austin. I have some days where
No.
I am not okay, but
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think too, we talked, that was something that I think is important to talk about. And we talked about, just that it's okay to have those days. It's like I have them. Like if I'm being honest today, um, I got there and the nurse that I usually use to do my, do all my treatments, because I take Zumeda, which is a bone growth deal to heal the lesions that I had. I had to take a dexamethasone, which I did by IV today, which so about 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm probably just gonna be like, and then
uh-huh.
I was wired, and then I take the IVIG, which is the antibodies, which takes that takes about 3 to 4 hours just to take it, and it's a weird deal, and then I get the shot, and so my nurse wasn't there today. Jason is usually my nurse, and man, when I found out, I was like, oh man. So I wrote down some other names because I had some other names, and I said, well, what about Paige or Julia? Well, then I got Darlene, so, but I'd had Darlene before, but the bay that I have to go to is away from the windows, and I like the windows, and everything in me wanted to go, I want the windows, and I probably should have, but anyway, so I went over to the corner, and honestly, it was depressing, and I hadn't even told you, I hadn't even talked about this to anybody else because I hadn't had a chance. I've just been so busy through the day, but it was depressing, and I guess I was in a bay with everybody that had freaking multiple myeloma, and you see the different stages that people are in, and you
Mm.
see what they're going through, which you can relate to. You're watching, and and I was sitting, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, it's like I don't, and I just because it's hard and it's frustrating. And I think we live in a world of people like, and you have that initial onslaught when you get diagnosed, and people are like, "Hey, we're praying for you." And what I'm
Hmm.
about to say, this is not. This is just. I'm just being honest. And then, but like you, this has been almost a 3-year battle, right? And so, has it been?
Starting
Is
my
it three?
fourth.
Do
Yeah,
what? Yeah,
starting
you've
my
3 years,
fourth.
right? You're on 4, right? You're 4. And so for 3 years, you went from diagnosis to it's this, and I think we're going to do this, and this will do it. Oh, that didn't work, so we got to do this, and then we got to do this, and now we got to do this, and it's just something that um, has got to become manageable as far as understanding it. And so yeah, I mean, I think we can be geared a certain way. I think we can encourage each other. But there's a book that I read, and I don't know if I need to send you this book if I didn't send it. I also supposed to send you a T-shirt that I never sent you, did I?
I don't think so.
I'm so stupid. Anyway,
It's, it's
we'll get that taken care of. But the book is called 50 Days of Hope, and it's written by a lady that, and I love the book because it just gives a realistic approach to things, and because that's just life, and it is what it is. And so I totally relate to what you just said because, Donna always says, um, you make this stuff look too easy. she she might not say stuff, but anyway, but it's like because I'm like you, I just I want to, approaching things. I just want to, I want to live and I want to keep moving forward. And Sydney, you're 30 years old. I mean, gosh, I'm 54, and what just what you're doing and how you're um, approaching it all. It's encouraging to me. And so I totally get it because that's what people need to understand. It's just something you wake up every morning and you choose
Yep.
the edit, you choose it, and life takes over and it feels somewhat, there's times, I don't know if you feel this way. Do you ever feel like, okay, well, that was kind of a normal, this was, but then in the back of your mind, it's not right. Because at some point you're going back to the treatment room in 2 weeks on January 2nd. Right. And then, does that make
I know.
sense? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and I mean, like right now, well, not right now. It's been for 3 years, but definitely right now. I'm dealing with the whole, should I even try to have, can I even try to have a career? Should I even try to have a career? Do I need to have a savings account? Am I gonna make it to retirement? Like
Right.
all of these things.
Right.
And um, I don't, I just feel like the normal person doesn't have those thoughts, doesn't isn't forced to think about those things. Like we're forced to, whenever we were diagnosed, we were forced to um reconcile or
Yeah. That's good.
accept our own death.
Yeah.
Because like,
Weird, right?
I I mean, obviously everyone's gonna die, but they don't live every single day. Like, is it gonna be today?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Is it going to be in the next 6 months? Is this going to come back?
Right. Like,
Is it?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what is this scan going to have on? I've been like watching your journey. You have to go and you have to wait until you get the results back. You know. So, and that's it. I think, and it's not morbid, right? I think that's what this show is all about. Is like, okay, um, especially you have to come to grips with what you believe. And we talked about this. I talked about this with Lacey the other night. Is that who you are becoming and the person that you are becoming before whatever tragedy strikes your life. And for us, it was a diagnosis is foundational to how you're going to handle that situation. And it's not always going to be perfect, and there are going to be bad days and there are going to be hard days. I've been kind of following your TikTok journey, and I hope you go ahead and play that out, because
I
I
will.
think people really want to know. They want to know because, and I think like what you just, well, you and I can't get life insurance. Like for me, I did have life insurance, but that kind of stuff. And like you said, what does the future hold? And um, I think you just wake up and you live as though you're going to live another, like for you, another, 70 years.
Mhm.
And so, but But the reality of it is, and tell me about that. Like, I think that's always an interesting thing to talk about because so many people approach life and what they believe. And when you look in the mirror, and when you talk about death, I mean, nobody wants to talk about it, but like you said, everybody's got to face it. And it's like, I mean, it happens like that. Life can, on a dime, it can change. I told this the other night too. There was a guy here locally that was fine, in September, and then he had a rare disease that in 2 months, he passed away, and
Mm.
so um, I think coming to grips with that, and what do we believe, and how important is that? I don't know. What do you think? I was gonna see what you say
Um,
about like when you think about that.
yeah. I mean, it's well, obviously we have a comfort of knowing what's going to happen um, whenever we pass because of what we believe in. Um, and if I didn't have that, I'd probably just sit and spiral. um, but I mean,
Yeah.
uh, I yeah, sorry. I also chemo has made me lose my train of thought in the
No,
middle
you're
of my thought.
good.
And
You
so
have
what was the
chemo brain.
question?
You have chemo brain.
Yes.
Well, just faith and where we, you
Yeah.
mentioned, coming to grips with your own death.
Yeah. Okay. Um, like I said, I mean, I know where I'm going.
Right.
So the only thing that, I mean, the worst part about it that I always think about is who I'm leaving behind here.
Right. Yeah.
Um, that's the worst part about it. Because I mean, obviously, I don't want to die. I have a lot of things I want to do and I want to spend it with the people I love. But if I died, I'd be okay.
Yeah. Right. And I think too, like for me, like when my dad passed away, and of course, you have family members and such as that, but that was the first time it hit me that close, as
Mm.
far as like, and and you just have to, you know, just believe, and for us, I think I want this show, and I want this to be the reason I call it the Freak Cast is because just an abnormal approach to it at times, where we were able to come on and say, that sucks and this is awful. And, I used the word in one of the first videos that I made. I used the word shitty. And it was like, I got a couple messages about that, and it was like, but at that moment, and that's how we feel. Right. And so, and it's so funny how that
I
people,
mean, I got
uh,
colon cancer, so literally and figuratively.
hey, I did. And you know what, to that, I found, I showed this to Sydney earlier. I said, hey, I found this. I could show it. It's like colorectal cancer. That tells about the cancer, right? In the
Yeah.
so yeah, it does fit, doesn't it? That was funny. But I believe like um just this, faith approach. And I mean, I don't know, at your age to have this form of cancer, right? It's like it's just nuts. And it's just so
I always thought it
abnormal.
was an older man
Yeah.
that typically got colon cancer. And then now
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's all these younger people.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Something's going on, right? It just feels like something weird is happening because it just feels like more and more people. And,
Mm.
we could get into whether it's the food or, all of these things that you begin. I remember when I got diagnosed, I'm like, what in the heck? Because even mine is, well, it's rare. And then two, it's usually normally in people that are over 65 years of age. And there's all these other dynamics. I think it was like 13,000 men, I mean, or something like that, or 10,000
Yeah.
um, a
And I have
year
no
are
family
diagnosed.
history.
Yeah, us, me, well, me either. Nothing like that. And and so I was trying to figure out, okay, why did I get this? And I had some teeth that had gone bad, and I thought, well, did the bloodstream, to get in my bloodstream, you're trying to figure out what happened. But it's like every day, and everybody, somebody, and people watching this or listening to this, and I think that's why this is so important, is because that one, people that I talked to a friend today who's got his wife has ovarian cancer, and I hope to have them on at some point. But the one thing that he and I talked about, and he shared with me, was it's just good to have this conversation with somebody that understands somewhat of
Hmm.
what I'm going through. And I think people watching this, you know, hopefully that, it'll get to some people that do have colorectal cancer and can hear your story and know they're not alone, and maybe follow you on TikTok, because it helps. It helped me just to talk to people that had been there, and I don't know if that's helped you or not, or if you've had that opportunity, but it was good for
Yeah.
me. Was that true with you too?
Well, I just last weekend I saw my friend Ted who had been diagnosed with cancer years ago, and just to sit there and like it's not colorectal cancer, but to sit there and compare and talk about surgery stories
Right.
or how we felt in the chemo room or whatever, just like you, I texted him after I got home and I was like, it was so nice talking to someone who gets just like an ounce of what has happened.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can sit around like at work, especially at my job, people ask questions and on on like the day after chemo, I'll come to work and I'll be like, "You're at work? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay." But then like other times I'll like get sick at work and they like expect me to stay. I'm like, which is it? Do we understand
Yeah.
what's going on or do we not?
Listen, and I mean, I can relate to this too. I mean, we live in our own little worlds. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's just part of it. And I think the one thing that I've learned, and maybe you can relate to this too, is that you know, sometimes you just give people grace,
Mhm,
because whether it's, I might have just come, you know, I've been in treatment when I first started this deal, um, and work and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I would get a text message about work, and this happened in the freaking stem cell. When I was at this, I had a stem cell transplant. I had a bag of blood, a bag of platelets, and then I don't know what else it had. I mean, it had something. I think it had an antibiotic or something. I don't know. I don't know what was all on there, but I have a picture of it. And there's like, how it is, 5 different bags up there,
mhm,
and so I'm laying there. I'm sitting in the chair, and in my room, and I get this text message about some work related issue, and everything in me wanted to go, and I answered it because I'm an idiot, whatever. But because I mean, you're probably the same way. And then another text message shot back at me, and everything in me wanted to just let a string of cuss words go,
mhm,
because I'm like, really. And but they're living in their own world, and it's like they're not stopping on, oh, he's in the hospital, oh, he may have this. If he wants to, now I could have fired back and said, hey, look, I have a unit of blood, a unit of platelets, a unit of this, a unit of that, and I just had a stem cell transplant 5 days ago, and so I'm really not in a position to tell you anything. So I could have done that.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you said
Yeah,
about your
no,
job. It's like, yeah,
well, at work there for a while, they were like getting mad at me that I was sitting down on the floor when no one was in the store. And I was like, and I'm on chemo right now. I'm disabled.
yeah, but I'm
So like I
here.
collect the disability check. I'm
Yeah,
doing my job. I didn't, of course I never said any of these things,
right.
but like also they could be sued um for not
I
letting me sit down.
know.
And I still never was like, "Excuse me." I just said, "I'm on chemo this week, I'm just when no one's in the store, I just need a little break." And then again, I still got in trouble again for having a chair on the floor. And I was like, "When are y'all gonna get it?"
Yeah.
But
How do we? And I think that's the thing. It gives me chills, because this is what I really want people to grasp, and they can't. Here, the thing is, I understand this, and one thing, if you can help me, Austin said he's commenting on the deal over here,
oh
and
no.
no, it's good. It's good. He said he can attest to the shitty part, is what he said. But anyway, um, um, and I want to get to. I'd like before we end. I do want to talk about caregivers because I think Austin. I think you're going to have such a great story. I do too. I mean, I think all of us do. I can name the names. So help me remember that if I don't. But I think that's this deal of navigating life. Because like I've talked to people that have multiple myeloma, like that were in the condition, and I met with a completely different doctor today, and he came in and he said, because my doctor Mozelle had a back surgery, so he couldn't be there. He won't be there till January, and so it's kind of neat. I mean, I didn't think I was going to like it initially, but he came in and he said, "Look, I read your chart," and he said, "Let me tell you something. Um, I'm pretty amazed that you look the way you do right now, because that's where I was. I mean, I
Hmm.
was in, just like you, right? We were in a bad place and still have to battle to keep ourselves out of going back to that place. That's
Hmm.
the battle every day that's why I take a pill every day. Why you take a pill every day? That's what we're doing. And so it was good for me to hear him say that, because I've heard stories of, as you can attest, the stories of just things that went differently, and I don't have the answer to why things went differently. That's the other part of this equation is, someone in my same condition. I know someone here that lives locally. He did have a different chromosomal defect that would put him in the extreme, the high risk category. We were diagnosed at the same time, pretty much. We had the same stem cell timeline, pretty much, and then he passed away.
Wow.
And I don't have the answer to that.
Hmm.
You know, other than other than my faith, just knowing that, and I don't, and I always say this, and I don't know if you can relate to this too, but I know that God didn't do this to me. I
Right.
believe that. I don't believe
If
God did this to me.
if one more person tells me that, um,
Yeah, it's like, well, God allowed God. I mean, I can't use the word allowed because I think there is some sense of that, but it's when someone says, "Tell me what they say to you," before I jump to what they say. Well, when you say that, what do you mean?
well, I don't want to get in trouble here, but like even if it's just like, well, God wouldn't put you through this if he couldn't bring you through it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
oh, so I'm just like you're one of God's strongest warriors thing. Well, you know what? I'd like to be a chef in the military or something. Maybe not
yeah,
the
exactly.
strongest on the battlefield. Like
Yeah, yeah, and I think like you walk with there's times I think when you, and again it goes back to the
or
fact
everything
that,
happens for a reason, or yeah.
yeah, all that kind of stuff, and so, but, and it goes back to people don't know. I mean, they don't know exactly, they don't know how to respond. And
Hmm.
I think that's the thing. You know
There was
it's
one
almost like,
lady.
go ahead.
Sorry, sorry.
No, you go
Um,
ahead.
there was one lady who I met, and I wasn't even gonna bring up that I had cancer, nothing. But my friend was introducing us, and my friend just goes, "She has cancer." It's like, okay, well, here we go. So I, explained it to her, just like I was like, yeah, stage 4 colon cancer, blah blah. And she asked me if I was wearing a wig, and I was like, yep. And she starts crying and gives
Oh
me a
wow.
hug, and she goes, "Don't give me any more bad news." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that I ruined your day with my cancer diagnosis."
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to impede on your deal.
But yeah,
Don and I, go ahead.
no, well, it's people have no idea how to respond to it. And like, or I'll train new people at work and I'm like, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. I have cancer. If I need to run to the restroom or if anything, whatever, that is why. And they're just shocked or
Yeah,
stunned.
yeah,
And me, it's been 3 years now and I'm like, nope, let's keep going.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's just keep moving forward. I mean, for sure. And I think that's the deal is, you know, Don and I were just talking about this. And Don is my wife for you guys that may not know. But my wife and I were just talking about this last night, I believe. We were talking about a situation and just, um, and when you say like, I'm worried, I don't want to get in trouble. I mean, that's what this is about. It's about just telling what we feel, and what
Mm,
you feel. And hopefully people can listen to it. And here's the thing is that, you know, um, the thing I battle the most is like that same deal. It's like almost like, why do I feel guilty?
mm,
And there are things in my life that I still need to resolve. Just like, I mean, I've got issues just like anybody other than just this diagnosis, right? But at the same time, I think people, as they should. I mean, they're living in their own worlds and they're living in their own lives and they have their things that they do, their responsibilities. I mean, you and I don't expect them, to halt what they're doing, at all. I think it's just more about the fact of I like people when they go, and I've tried to always. A guy taught me this early on in my ministry was like, don't ever tell somebody that you know how they feel, and just listen, ask them questions, and gain from what they are experiencing. How is
mhm.
that? Or I mean, and it's just a weird deal, honestly at times. And you know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, because like that lady that came up to you and said, "Don't tell me anything else. I don't want to know. I don't want to know." And this, I mean, all right, well, fine. I mean, I won't. I didn't really ask. I didn't really offer. You
Nope.
asked, so you just tell me when you're done, and I'll walk away. So I think that's um, important, and I want people to realize. Like I always say, if you know someone that's been diagnosed, or you know someone that's going through a hard time, or whatever, maybe down the road, just shoot them a text. Say, hey, I'm just thinking about you,
Hmm.
or that kind of stuff. Because to me, I mean, makes a big difference. Because sometimes, if I'm honest, it feels like you know, um, there's that deal, and well, Steven's fine. He's fine. He's back to
Yeah.
normal. What I'm saying. He should be handling things or whatever. And
Or
and
even
I definitely do
they
what
look that we look healthy.
right. Yeah. Are you asking me if I hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and I mean, and but see, like my doctor today, when he said that, or the doctor today, he looked at me and says he looked at it from the spectrum of you shouldn't look this healthy,
Hmm.
you know, and so to that regard, that's when I become very very grateful that I am in this position. But how did I get here? Well, just like you got to where you are at this point. For you, it's been 3 years of treatment and surgeries and radiation and all this stuff that you've had to go through. And for me, it was treatment and stem cell transplant, and now more treatment. And try to do diet things and try to that kind of stuff. And it's a regiment that gets us to this place, hopefully to be here for a long time and to you know um, hear that remission deal, and that kind of thing. But it's I think again going back, people, if you're listening, if you're watching this, I think for people like if we were to that's something that is important that we know ultimately looking back that God's got a plan and he I even have to word that that's not the right way to word that you know I think it's the verse that things are going to work out like you said
Hmm.
earlier. I mean if they don't work out on this earth, they're going to work out definitely beyond this earth. But we want them to work out on this earth and
Yeah, it'd be really
have a
cool.
purpose. Yeah, exactly. And I think this is the thing. Like it's your story, right? And I said this last time, and I'll probably say this every episode. But there's this verse, and I should probably get it and put it up. But it says that they overcame um, the enemy by the power of the blood, or the story of Jesus, and the word of their testimony. And our story is what matters. And I believe your story um, matters. And that's why I've been so excited to have you on here because I've talked to you so much and have heard your story and your approach to it. And like you said at the very beginning, there's a mentality that you have that you just, I'm going to keep moving forward, and then I've, even today, one of the other things I haven't told anybody, I'll tell you and everybody else now listening. Um, there was this moment that said, okay, what if my blood work comes back point 0.3, which, you know, doesn't sound like much, but that's not what I want to hear,
Hmm.
and then you have to start over, right? Well, that's what, you've had to do that over and over again, right? I mean, to a point,
Hmm.
I guess. And
Yeah. And if my cancer continues to grow and there's not a clinical trial for me, then my next option might be starting all over again at oxaliplatin, the very first
Yeah.
chemo I had for 12 rounds. And I'd
Yeah.
have to quit my job and yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, and praying and believing that that won't happen. Right.
Hmm.
And then, and I think that's again where you come back to that place where you and Austin have to sit down and family and look at each other and say, okay, what do we, let's pray through this, think through this. What are our options? What do we need to do? Um, what path do we want to take, and how do we want to take it? And, and I think letting people know what that path is and letting them know that there's, um, that that's where they can support you and pray for you and encourage you and stand beside you and that kind of thing, um, because that, um, helps. It helps me anyway. I mean, just to be able to communicate. And sometimes, do you ever feel like I'm trying to communicate what's happening, and it's so hard to get the
Yes.
word out? That's what I'm really hoping that this thing comes. This is something that you can take and you can share with people, and they can hear your story and know where you are and know what you're going through, and hopefully this will help you not have to get such a big megaphone, and it'll kind of pinpoint it because it's just frustrating when you just feel like you're not sharing where you are, at
Hmm.
that moment. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there's even times where what I've been told is so confusing. I don't even know how to word it in a way that everyone else will understand it because I don't even understand it.
Right. Yeah. And that is cancer. I mean, that's the core of cancer. And just it's such a freaking stupid disease, that is, I don't know. I've talked about that too. And I think everybody would agree, it's something that it shouldn't be in existence and that there are, things that have been held back from us or whatever. And I won't go into all that, but at this point, but all that's irrelevant to a point when you are diagnosed with it. It's like, okay, well, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
case, but now we got to deal with it. We got to
Mhm.
face it. And so that's where it's at. So just kind of update everybody a little bit too. Just so where you are right now, um, exactly. So it's go ahead.
Um, so there's one spot. So my colon's been clear ever since surgery. It has not come back in my colon.
Oh, that's good.
Um, yeah. It's just my stupid little liver and lungs.
Yeah.
There's a unchanged spot on my liver. It's been unchanged. It's always been unchanged. And we can radiate it if we want, but that would be an aggressive take. Um, and then there's two spots in my lungs that aren't even big enough to biopsy or show up on a PET scan. So it's never been like my lungs have never been biopsied, so it's never been confirmed that it's been cancer. It's just been suspicious and concerning. So they've always
Yeah.
treated it as cancer.
Yeah.
Um, but there's those two spots, and they got like 1 millimeter bigger from the
Yeah.
last scan. So I'm staying on this treatment plan, and then January 3rd I go to Siteman Cancer Center to get a second opinion and hopefully start treatment with them because they have access to clinical trials and such.
Yeah. And ultimately that's the thing I want for you, and just like for myself, is that, to be, use that word healed. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That word healed. I've got a friend of mine, he's gonna be on here too, and he has his name's Albert, and I work with him and his a little bit, but um or quite a bit actually. But he was diagnosed with a very aggressive brain cancer, and he's taken a complete, he's taken a regimen where he, because they told him, look, there's, nothing, they wanted to do the chemo, wanted to do all that stuff, but, were saying that it was going to come back anyway, even if they did that. And his fear was, okay, well, if I'm in that position, well, then I don't want to do anything to exacerbate or make the problem worse. I think I'll just do it on my own.
Yeah.
And so change his diet and everything, and they cut it out. And and so and I bring that up because I think mentally, like you and I think, it's like I don't ever want to become my diagnosis. You
Yeah.
know, I don't want my diagnosis to define me. I don't know if you feel that way. Does that make sense?
No, I don't want to be known as the cancer girl.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So what like tell us like when you think about that, and I don't want to put you on the spot. I mean, and I can, but um, what you know, like that when you think about identity, my identity is not my diagnosis. It's different from that. It's like this, the fight like a freak deal
Hmm.
is to um sorry, I take it. Does the dexamethasone do that to you too? Where and I don't know if I don't know what it is. It's probably one of those things I took today, but like I have a hard time sometimes catching my breath.
I haven't had that in so long, but
Oh
I
really?
don't. But
Yeah. I just thought I'd share that with you right now because I was that is it really? Because even that, it's like you kind of and you have to navigate thoughts like that. Well, I can't catch my breath. And then when I was anemic, I was driving down the road and I get real dizzy. I'm like, I'm fixing to pass out. And I'd be in Dallas traffic, like in, 4 lanes wide and there's no exit. And I'm like, I'm fixing to pass out right here in the middle of this highway. And I'm, and all these thoughts. And sometimes
Mhm.
I'd call Donna. I'm like, Donna, I think I'm fixing to pass out. She's like, Steven, you're not passed out yet. She would talk me down,
Yeah.
but it's like, those things happen, right? That's part of the deal. But even then, that's not my identity. So,
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about that, like, you don't want to be known as the cancer girl. So, what do you want to be known as? If you don't mind me asking, or that's a hard
I
question,
don't know.
right?
I know. I feel like I'm still trying to figure that out.
I think that's a
Um,
great answer. I do, honestly. That's a great answer because I think who isn't trying to figure that out? Isn't that like a lifelong journey? Um, Go ahead. I interrupted you.
no, yeah, I'm just still trying to figure it out. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if obvious cancer is going to be what I guess gets me to get to know more people,
Yeah.
but hopefully after that, I'm known for more than just cancer.
Right. You are. And I think that's the thing. Ooh, I'm having deja vu right now. Um, but I believe, Sydney, that is, you know, just from my perspective of looking in at your life and anybody else that's watching this or listen to this that knows you believes that about you. First of all, you're 30 years old. And I think that you could, your mentality could be so different, and I know that you've looked and thought, why me? And what the frick? I'm 30 years old and, I just only been married a few years and, um, all those things that
Smoke.
I don't smoke. I mean, what the heck? Yeah. Well, I mean, I ate a roughage. What the heck?
I was doing CrossFit.
I was CrossFitting. I was losing weight like a crazy woman. Just being healthy. I think that's, all of us kind of, we approach it that way. But then at the end of it, at some point, it's like, well, even with all that, here it is. And, and so I think that just looking into your life, just to encourage you, you just have been such a source of encouragement. And I was like, and I hadn't put these up here yet, but I love the way you know, just, I like this picture and just the way you've done your hair. And then here's one here that's got you in Austin. And I showed this one earlier. I love this picture. Just where are y'all at right there? What is that?
We were in Disney.
Oh, are you
Those are
really?
the
Okay.
Disney years behind us.
What is he doing?
I don't. I trying to eat my head. I don't know.
Yeah.
Our
Well, I
friend,
just,
we were with two friends, and one of them who was my roommate at Disney, um, and her boyfriend's a photographer, and he took that.
That's a great picture. I love that picture because you're posing and he's doing whatever he's doing. I mean, he can tell us in the chat what his thought were. I think that's the deal. Just looking in at you like that and seeing your attitude and your approach and just your movement. And even today, like when I'm and you're the same way. Like when you're in the treatment room, you see people wearing shirts and I have one of my friends that was diagnosed. There was a group of people that wanted to do this shirt, that had the hashtag and had their name, like in my case it'd be, your case it'd be Sydney Strong or whatever, or Shelton Strong or whatever. I don't know. But yours is Sydney versus stage 4, just something that kind of gives us, kind of identifies the fight, that it was going to be. He just put in the chat, definitely about to bite her head off. It's love. But I think that you see that, and she was like, well, it's God's giving me the strength to do this. And yeah, but you know what? You have to make the decision, individually
Hmm.
to move forward. And then when you do that, um, it makes a difference, because it's a choice that we make. And like today after treatment, I mean, and when I say what I'm about to say, I think like the very fact you're going to work, right? And even at work, you may sit down, but you're there. I mean, that's a choice, right?
Yeah.
And I see you doing that. And today,
And
like
I'm very
after
good
treat,
at my
go
job.
ahead.
I
Do
said
what?
I'm very good at my job.
Sure you are. Heck yeah. And and I think today after treatment, making the decision to go ahead and do the work that I did, it would have been easy to just, um, but I wanted to get that done, and it helps. I don't know. It gives me purpose,
Hmm.
and then looking forward to this tonight. I mean, I think it gives us purpose, and I think for all of us going through something, and there are people that are, as there are times when like you said earlier, there's no way you could do it. There was times I couldn't. I was in the hospital, I was doing this, and my nurse in the hospital, his name was Curtis, and I think I said this in the last deal too, but I'll probably say it again. He came in and I apologized for, something. And he's like, Steven, you just had high dose chemotherapy and a stem cell transplant. Shut up. I mean, you should feel this way.
Yeah.
It's not abnormal to feel this way, but you get up and do it. So anyway, I just love you and love your family. And
Love you
yeah, and I just appreciate, I guess I can take that picture down. I just like that picture a lot. Um, I just appreciate the way you've handled things and how you've allowed the Lord work, the Lord to work through you. And I love the authenticity of it. I love the way you just approach it, honestly.
I don't really know any other way to be.
Yeah,
So.
I love it. Yeah, yeah. And I think it gives people permission because to know, okay, it gives you the opportunity to feel the same way, and to approach it the same way because they're struggling to know how to approach it at times. So anyway, so that picture of we were going to talk about how, I mean, Austin, just the having, and I was just thinking about this today, and Donna, I don't know if Austin said this to you. It's almost like sometimes they feel like it's not good to talk about their problems. Um,
Yeah.
you identify. Is Austin that way too?
Yeah, and I feel bad because like if he gets like a cold or something, I'm like, "Oh, you have a cold? Oh, do you feel bad?" I'm like I I shouldn't do that.
Well, I've just been diagnosed with cancer. Anyway, you go ahead. What do you have?
Um, but no, yeah, I hope he's okay with me sharing this. But he's recently been like talking to a therapist, so that's really helped him.
Yeah, because people don't. I mean, that right there. I literally, today I texted Donna, and she's got some stuff going on too that we really need to get looked at. And it's important. But like, anyway, this makes me emotional because I mean, she's just been a rock.
Hmm.
And when I was in the hospital, all those days, she was there every night, except for 3. And the 3 nights she wasn't there. Braden, my oldest son, stayed one night. My sister Lori had come down and she stayed with me one night, and then my daughter Megan stayed with me one night. But um, just having her there was such a source of strength. And I think, just to encourage caregivers and family members, it just makes such a difference to have them there, right? And when I had Donna there, it was just like she was asking questions and she was helping me, all that kind of stuff. But um, I don't know. I wanted to talk about that. I wanted you to kind of talk about that, from your perspective, just, having,
Austin's seen a lot of stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Um, After I get them confused, but after one of the surgeries I had, I it's colon cancer, and so my digestive system has been disrupted.
right,
Um, and so I don't know what it was, but I couldn't stop throwing up. Like I threw up like every 5 minutes in the hospital,
yeah,
and it was gross. It was green, and I just couldn't stop. And um, so he has seen all that. There's a lot of other stuff I could say that he has seen, that probably TMI for this. Um,
yeah,
but how he handled that and still is like, I still love you. You're still the one that I
yeah,
pick. I'm like, ugh, I don't, how?
right,
And then still going to work, working his job, taking care of everything, paying the bills, because I can't pay the bills. On disability, I can't make over $1,400 a month.
right,
So, um, and then on top of that, still trying to be like, oh, let's go do something fun, or maybe you want to stay in. I don't know, like keeping our relationship healthy and alive and happy, and then like he'll like make sure that sometimes it's not about the cancer. Like
yeah,
for our anniversary, he just like took me to some little cabin like 30 minutes away, and I mean we had internet, but like we didn't do any, like we didn't talk to anyone, we didn't do anything. It was just me and
yeah,
him and the dogs, and it was perfect. But like to
yeah,
still do stuff like that, and then I don't know, he's the best.
yeah. That's awesome. He is the best. And I think too, like in a guy's perspective, like, you know, you want to care, it's like, in your vows, for better, for worse, right? And
Mhm.
you quickly find out, um, whether like in marriage, you have so many things that come your way that you navigate, be it choices that you make that are stupid, like in my case, or things that are beyond your control. And I think in his cases, for Austin, he does want to provide and take care, and men are naturally fixers, and this is something you
Mhm.
can't fix,
Mhm.
you know. And I think that's hard. I don't think I know that's hard, and I know even in my case, having the diagnosis and still wanting to take care of, and then all that kind of stuff too. It's frustrating. And if I'm honest too, like for me, there having this diagnosis and wanting to take care of things, but then having other things that you want to resolve in your life as well that have
Mhm.
happened, just whatever they may be. And I think therapy is is so good to be able just to walk through things and to talk things out and to
Mhm.
get a different perspective, to help. And
And
um
an unbiased perspective.
yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Something that's just kind of, going to give you. And I think people listen to this need to give themselves permission to find somebody, because life's hard enough, with everything going on in it. And then, um, and we have faith, which I believe anybody listen to this. I mean, it's like I talk to people all the time, and this would be another podcast for another time. But, I just am in a place in my life, which you and I've talked about this too, of what we believe and why we believe it and how we approach it. And because it does make a big difference, in our lives. So, um, I'm just thankful for Donna, and my family has been, checking on me and how you doing, and like your parents and just anybody that is a cancer family. I don't even know if that's the right way to say it, but it just makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you still hear me? Does it
yeah,
sound different?
your
Okay.
earbuds, your earbuds died.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, I hear you.
unprepared.
No, you're not. You sound fine. You are very prepared. I think you're very prepared. This has been great, Sydney. I just kind of wanted to end with that and just kind of, and just not end, but just talk about, just the idea of caregivers. And I think how much it makes a difference to have them in your life. And then for all you guys that are listening and are watching, man, send a message. And I think what Sydney said earlier, like, I mean, if you were to say the things that helped you the most, or, and even if it's just things that from a cancer diagnosed person's perspective, I mean, um, then what dare I say, advice or input or wisdom or thoughts would you share that have been the most helpful, that people can know how to approach someone that has been diagnosed or that is going through a difficult time like this?
Um, I would just tell let them tell you what they want to tell you, and just even just like sitting there with them. Sometimes people aren't looking for advice. They aren't looking for you to fix it because you can't fix this.
Right,
And so just to have someone sit there in it with you and sit and be like, "Yeah, this does suck."
right,
And sitting in those feelings instead of, I don't know, someone trying to fix it. Um, I had a friend ask me how she should approach her friend who had been just diagnosed with breast cancer. And that's what I told her. I was like, just let her tell you what she wants to tell you and sit in it with her. Let her feel all those emotions, and it's gonna suck. And
yeah,
tell her, it sucks. Obviously, you can't understand it, but
yeah,
yeah, that does suck. Instead of being like, well, have you tried this green
yeah,
tea? Or,
yeah,
um, but yeah, I don't know. And this isn't advice, but if you're thinking about ways to help, um, uh, meals.
right,
Meals are probably the most, like, I don't know. Me and Austin are always like, well, what are we gonna? Meals just always seem to like, well, what are we gonna eat, or when are we
yeah,
gonna get groceries? But it's just kind of like how people set up meal trains whenever someone passes or something happens,
yeah,
and if you just don't have to think and there's already food for you,
yeah,
then, or I don't know, sending someone a full pack of Ensures, because there are a lot of times where I don't want to eat, but I still need to get nutrients.
yeah. And it may be a good idea, like to reach out and say, hey, look, we don't want to send the wrong thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so tell me
Also,
what you can send.
this might be just me, but whenever people say, "Let me know how I can help," I'm never gonna let you know how you can help.
Yeah, yeah. I was
Um,
thinking the same thing.
like, I don't. It would just be so much easier if someone was just like, um, "I'm gonna order," or "I really want to send you a gift card," or "I really want to send you a whatever," or
Yeah,
something, or "I want to donate to GoFundMe,"
yeah,
anything like that, instead of "let me know how I can help," because
right. I
but I'm
don't
also
know.
terrible at asking for help. So maybe
And I think, yeah, maybe you need to, yeah. Like if they ask, then go, I could use a case of insurers, or
yeah.
whatever. But we had one instance right after I got diagnosed, and I'm sure you could tell stories about this too. But just right after I got diagnosed, that um, a person stepped in and just said, "Hey, what can I do, or what whatever," and I shared something specific, and they made it happen.
Hmm.
And I never, and it's been such a blessing, honestly. Um, but I think that's great. I think that because I was gonna write a blog and I never did, but it was gonna be called "There Are No Casseroles in My Refrigerator," because but and we talked about this one time, I think, because you have a network of people um, that you're around, but you know, obviously we both believe in Jesus, and I love the way Jesus approached life. Obviously, I think that he was available. I think that he was with the people where they were. I mean, he got accused of things that by religious leaders, that because he was hanging with the wrong people according to them. Um, and I just think it's a model of that, and I think so many people in the culture, I hate to use that word, that aren't in a church, right? Quote unquote, as far as we know it, a building, whatever. But what a great opportunity we have, not to get them into our church, but just to be available to our neighbors and be
Hmm.
available to people around us, and do exactly what you're saying. Hey, and crazy as it is, a lot of times, I don't know if you found it to be the case, but a lot of times people that I never knew
Yeah.
um, have blessed us beyond anything that I could. I mean, just out of nowhere.
Hmm.
And I think that I've seen that over and over again. I mean, at times, and I don't know if you've seen that too, but it's like because I don't know, it's just weird, right?
Yeah.
There's no expectation. There's no, they don't really say anything. They just give you something,
Yeah.
and it helps whether it's a gift card or food or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So anyway, well, I think that's good. I am really, really grateful, and I think that's good information for people just to have, just to be available and stuff like that. And so, how can like, and I mean, I'm gonna put your GoFundMe up. I know that you're, so that people can help and, help you guys. I think you got a T-shirt or something
Yeah.
too as
Yeah.
well. Let me look over here. Let me pull this up here. You can talk about that, and I'm pull this up while you're talking.
About the t-shirt.
Yeah.
So it's a design from, I had one of our friends draw me and Austin as Scott Pilgrim and Ramona Flowers. It's a comic book, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and
Right.
um, for a wedding gift from me to Austin, and then Austin used it and put it on the shirt, and instead of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, it's Sydney Stoner versus Stage 4.
Oh, so is that where that came from?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I've got the hold on, I've got the here, let's do this. I've got the link right here. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna share it. I gotta do something about my computer because like when I hit buttons, the computer moves. And so I was watching it back. I need to do something about this. Oh, that's not the one. It's this one. Here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So that's the front, right? So that's you in Austin.
Oh wait, this is showing GoFundMe still.
Oh, hold on. What am I doing? Let's shut that. I must hit the wrong button. Hold on a second. For you guys that are listening, this is me being really confused as to what I'm doing. All right, hold on a second. Let's go. Share screen. Oh, here we go. Boom. Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's you in Austin on the front, right?
Yes.
How cool is that? Look at that. Why is that? What does that say 0?
That's just the shirt the character had on in the comic.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. And then this is the back where it says Sydney Stoner versus Stage 4. So I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to put this in the comments too. I put her GoFundMe in the comments. And so, and I guess if you're listening to this, you can go to, I'll put it up at fightlikeafreak.com and I'll make sure that it's available. I think it already is available actually on the website, and you can check it out. So this is one of my dreams, y'all, is that that we would have folks like Sydney, and you get to hear her story, hear her and Austin's story, just kind of see everything that they've gone through. And I don't know how to and I know it's Christmas, and I know there's a lot going on, and we have needs. I know everybody has needs, right? But at the same time, um, just to be present. And I know that it'll be cool. And these are cool shirts, and you can wear it, and you can tell Sydney's story along the way too. So you can click those links and either give to their GoFundMe, or you can order their shirts. And I know that'd be a huge blessing to them.
Yes, I would
And
very much appreciate.
yeah, because I mean, I think at one point you told me like, I, we haven't even gotten into that. I guess that'd be another conversation about collections and
Oh
phone
my God, don't
calls
even get me
and
started on the Medicare insurance thing I just went through. Yeah,
was it awful?
it's bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, it worked out in the end. But I like called my mom. Well, she was in the UK at the time, and so it was like 3 a.m. her time, and I'm like bawling, and she's like, "Sydney, I cannot understand you." And I was like, "Insurance." So
Yeah. And that's a whole other side of it. Of course, like you, I have a lot of friends that disconnect, but I have one friend that eventually will be on here too. And she's been battling this, of former breast cancer that, and the spots in her brain and everything for 9 years,
wow.
and she's just in a constant state of, just of that. And so, and her husband is, I mean, you know, but it's still nonetheless, it's just there. And I think, I and just like you, I mean, it's just the weirdest feeling going into that room, and it's just packed. Like today, it was absolutely packed. I had to wait an hour and a half just to get into
Yep.
treatment,
Yep.
and you just look around and think, and you see all these people, and all the battles that they have to be fighting, and the money, and just the obstacles, and they're just trying to make it, and
I've
so
had um I've had a prisoner get chemo next to me.
really.
Yeah. So he is not only battling cancer, but he is dealing with prison
Yeah.
too.
Wow. Yeah. All the extracurricular stuff that's going on that nobody knows about, and that too, I think would be a great deal for someone to say to us, because, what, where are you at right now? Just tell me, how can we, because, and I know that people again have their own lives, and it's not I understand that, but if they're in a conversation with you, or if they think about you, or they're checking on you, then that's a good question to ask. And don't, you know, I think it's easy too to look and, how do I say this? Just deal with the day. Don't worry
Mm-hmm.
about what they were yesterday. Okay, well, all right, well, that's what grace is all about. And we mentally, like for me and you, we mentally are dealing with whatever's back there. But at the same time, where you have to deal with the day, like you said too, and Travis, Austin does, and Donna does, and it just gets to be a lot. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Donna, one of the things she says a lot is like, really? I did this today actually because I was driving down the road and I had a bag of sunflower seeds, and I was going to open it because I wanted a snack because I felt dizzy. So, and I was driving to the dump and I couldn't get the bag to open. My dog just came in and moved my microphone. I couldn't get the bag to open, and so it ripped. And so then I had to set it here, and then I stopped suddenly, and the whole bag just went into the floorboard.
Oh
And
no.
it's like, and you're like going, you know what I'm saying? And just you're like, really? I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, is that going to happen now?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's good for people to ask that so they can hear, um, at least hear where you're at, I think, too, So anyway, let me just go back. I lost my train of thought. I don't know where we're going. Well, listen, I know we got to go a bit on here. Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
anything else, like just, I mean, anything else that you want to share before we kind of sign off, or um, whatever? It'd be good to
Thanks
have
for
Austin
having
on
me
here one
on
time.
here. I feel
Oh,
yeah, even
absolutely.
yeah. I feel like I don't know, I just scratched the surface, but
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
It's almost like you have to have recurring deals. Hey, let's do an update. Let's talk about.
Yeah.
It would be cool is if like so we could have like multiple people on here at one time. So we could have you on here and Lacey on here and some other people and have everybody on and navigating that conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but let everybody kind of update. Okay, here's where we are right now, and here's what's going on, and also kind of introduce each other, to or each introduce you to one another and create a network of people. Because just and I mean it's in our own little world, right? I know that stuff goes on. It's not like we're doing anything new under the sun, but I think it is like just scratching the surface because you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about 3 years and moments and days and struggles and battles and doctor visits and waiting for surgery, coming out of surgery. All I mean, there's so much that you've been through and that you've had to face. And so, like you said, yeah, it's just kind of scratching the surface a little bit of it. But I
You
know that.
need a 5 hour episode.
Hey, listen, you know what? Here's the thing: is I mean, I love Joe Rogan, and I love the fact that I mean some of his podcasts may be 3 hours or four. I mean, he just kind of lets it flow, and so I'm all for that. I mean, I think just having the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'll talk as long as you want to talk because
Well, I got stories, so.
yeah. Well, feel free if you want to share one. You're welcome to.
Of course, now I'm like, which one would I want?
Yeah, I was supposed to say like, which one would you share? Like, if you were to share one story, you know, through the journey. I mean, can you? I mean, and you share one. Yeah, share one. I'd love to hear one.
But now I'm on the spot.
So I'll tell you
Oh,
one, and maybe it'll help you think of one.
okay.
So, because like you said, so this moment, I was going in for to get my port inserted and or my transfusion line, because I had like I had a transfusion line because it was like I called it my dongles, and because it was three little. If you're listening, I'm making a gesture with my hand, and I'm not sure, but kind of like a cow udder is sort of. But and so I was going in, and so they take you down to the, as the OR area, and I'm just in a hall. I don't even have a room because they got they're packed up, and I'm getting that done, and I'm getting a kyphoplasty done because one of my vertebrae in my lower back was disintegrated too much, and they filled it in with something, and so I'm laying there, and you know exactly how. Hold on. Go, go. Anyway, um, and so I'm laying there just not knowing what's going to happen. It's cold, it's weird. It's early in the morning, and all of a sudden, this guy, Jason, he's a doctor, comes up. He's like, "Hey, Stephen, how you doing?" I'm like, "What are you doing here?" He said, "Well, I work here." Really? And so for the next 10 minutes, it was like the coolest moment, where, and that was just the first story that popped in my head because
Mm-hmm.
there's so much unknown. There's so much that you don't understand. There's so much that you're not sure. You're fixed to be put under general anesthesia, and like in your case, you went under anesthesia to get something done, and you came out, with other things done that you didn't anticipate, right? And so, seeing his face, I need to tell him this. I need to reach out to him and just say, hey, how much that meant, because I met his son through football at a high school, and we were on the booster club together and working together to make the football team good, or not, at least the environment. And it just meant so much that 10 minutes, but just brought some peace for a second because I felt all alone. I
Mm-hmm.
felt uncertain. There was so much stuff, and I knew that was at the beginning of December, and the next 4 weeks were fixing to be intense. And so, I don't know. That was the first story that popped in my head.
Yeah, it's a good
It
one.
wasn't very it wasn't very dramatic or anything like that. It was just kind of like more of a
Mine are
personal thing.
very well. So you said uh you brought up surgery, like laying there. Well, this isn't like a happy story. So
Good. Yeah.
so it's the surgery where I'm throwing up constantly, and they're like, we can put an NG tube in, the one that you have to like swallow down, and
Yeah.
I'm awake, and they're putting the tube down, making me swallow the tube down while I'm awake.
Uh-huh.
and they do the x-ray to see if they did it right. They did it wrong, and so they took it out and they're like, we're going to put it in again. I was like, nope, you're not putting the NG tube back in. And then they said, well, when we did the x-ray, we saw something metal, like in your abdomen. The
What?
surgeon may have dropped something in.
No.
I'm laying there in my hospital bed, like really sore, and I like raised up as much as I could, and I was like, "Excuse my French, but what the? Like what? You left metal inside me?"
Yeah.
And they take me all the way down, like out of my hospital room, all the way down into X-ray, whatever. So they do another X-ray, clean, like make me change my dress, change all the bed sheets and everything, and they did the other X-ray, and they were like, "Oh no, it was fine. It must have been something in your sheets." But for those 15 minutes, I was sitting
Yeah.
there like, not only did I wake up with an ostomy bag, I got stage 4 cancer, but now there's a metal object inside of
In
me
my
that should
stomach.
not be.
That's enough. I don't want anything else.
Yeah.
And when you're in that moment, you're in all your glory too, right? It's not like
Yeah.
there's, I mean, it's not like you're hidden, nothing's hidden from the world,
Nope.
and you're just kind of there
That
at
was
that
the
point.
only time I think that I cussed at a nurse. But I was just like, how do you just drop an object? Don't y'all count before and
Yeah.
after surgery?
Yeah. The only time that and I don't remember if I cussed, but I may have said, what the hell you're doing? But, I was in the hospital and at night they would come in and take my blood at like 4 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good because I had the transfusion line, so they didn't have to poke me. They just tied it up to that thing and just ran it out, and
Mm-hmm.
I never even knew it was happening. Well, unless because most of the time they would come in, they had little lights on their, on their the night nurses had the little lights,
Mm-hmm.
and they could come in and they were real quiet, and they're like, "Hey, Stephen, and they start, "Hey, we need to take your blood," and I'm like, "Okay," and it's like, well, what was that girl's name? One night they had a tech that normally wasn't on that floor, and I can't remember her name. It was, I want to say like Cinnamon or something like that. I don't remember, but she busted up in that room, turned the lights on. She said, "Hey, I'm here to, good morning. I'm here to take your vitals and blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And
I'm sleeping.
I know you are not a good tech at all. You're getting a bad review. I don't even want to hear it. And so, and I think that's when I said, what the hell? And she, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "Well, everybody else leaves the lights off. I mean, you're killing me right now,
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, I won't be just a minute." So the next morning, I told the nurse, I told Curtis, I said, "Hey man, that tech, you got to do something about her because that can't happen again." And so anyway, the next night it was somebody different. But I think a lot of times when you're on that stem cell floor, there's a certain group of people that work there the majority of the time, and they know the situation and they know everything, and but then they every now and then you get somebody different, and
Mm-hmm.
so I've got tons of stories from all that. But that's what we should do, is have like a deal where we just tell stories,
Yeah.
because I mean, if you hear people tell stories like you said about, was it Ted?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that kind of stuff helps because you're kind of comparing the journey, I guess, and
Mm-hmm.
because you've all been through something. And then we need to have a caregivers episode where they tell their stories.
I'm sure Austin has plenty.
It'd be good to have both of y'all on at the same time, and let that bounce back and forth. And I need to put Don. I want to put Don on it. Which in fact, that was the one thing we've already talked about, is just to do something like that so people can know, what they go through, because there's so many listening, and hopefully so many. I say so many. Whoever's listening are watching, and they go through all this with us too. Like you said
Mm-hmm.
earlier, they're there for the good, the bad, the ugly, and like like you said earlier, the puking and the
Everything.
Everything.
Any fluid that has come out of my body, he has seen it. My dad has not. He would not change my ostomy.
Oh yeah.
My mom
Well,
would. Yeah, so if Austin's not there, my mom's there. But
yeah.
my
Bobby
my
wasn't
dad
into
doesn't do the gross
the
stuff.
ostomy.
What?
Bobby wasn't into changing the ostomy.
No, no, no. I would like, mom was changing it one time, and I was like, Dad, come here, I need your help. And he didn't know I was changing it. And he walked in, saw what we were doing, and turned around. He was like, Nope, I'm not looking at it. I'm not nothing.
I can physically see him doing that. No, 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 okay,
Nope.
no, oh, no, 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 because he'll talk in those little short sentence, those little pops, pop, pop, pop. Nope, I'm out. I don't. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Yep.
Oh, that's funny, Bobby Stoner. I love that guy. Anyway, yeah, that's because I mean, when even in the hospital, like because taking a shower, I had to stay hooked up to my
Mm-hmm.
machine. So machine's outside, and I'm having she's having to hand me stuff, and and that kind of thing. So you're just kind of at the disposal of of everything. And at the same time, you're navigating all the thoughts and everything else that you have to go through. I remember waking up in the mornings and I'd be like, not knowing how I'm going to feel,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd kind of open my eyes and say, okay, how do I feel? I'm not sure. So anyway, all right. Well, listen, I am again thankful for the you came on. I think it's been great, and
Yeah, thanks for bringing me on.
yeah, absolutely. And we do need to do some reunion things and kind of updates and stuff like that down the road. So help remind me, like shoot me a text and say, hey, maybe when you see a good time to do an update would be, I think it'd be fun to have people back on and
Okay.
kind of walk through things. And then, and people that obviously when we're connected that you feel like would love to jump on and,
Yeah.
and share, maybe you can come on with them or something like that. I don't know, but I just, and we're not just going to focus on, I think that cancer diagnosis is obviously, a big deal and stem cell transplant and that kind of stuff, but just tragedy and difficulty and everything that people face and not to give people hope, right? That's the
Yeah.
goal. I hope this does that.
Yeah.
That's the dream and to be inspired to know, hey, I can make it and ultimately to, to know that faith does matter and that, for us, we both believe there is a God, and we believe that there's a way and that, like you said, we're secure looking past this life. That makes a big difference. That for
Mm-hmm.
me, that was the first step. Do I really believe this? And I don't know if that's what you said, but that's I'm 54 years old. You think, well, I must believe something, but it just kind of comes to grips with that. So anyway, that's it, I guess. You got
All
anything
right.
else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, we love you, and thanks for
Love y'all.
encouraging us. Yeah. Tell Austin thanks too, and share this with people. Let people know what's going on too, so they can hear your story. So I'll put the Spotify link. It'll pop up pretty quick, and
Okay.
I'll send you that so you can share it too. So
Okay.
all right, well we'll see you. Take care,
All right.
and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a good
All
night.
right. You too. Oops. I hit that too soon. You have a good night too. Yep. And you look great too, by the way. I like the
Oh,
glasses. Are those new?
thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. You just look cool. You're just a cool looking person.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Love you.
Love
See
you.
you later. All right. All right. Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. So make sure that you check the chat, if you will. And the links to her GoFundMe are both in there. And you can get a hold of those and you can and let her know that you want to support her as well. So I don't know when our next episode will be. Probably going to be this weekend. We'll probably do like a Christmas type episode maybe or something like that. But hey, share this with people. Even if people that need to just be encouraged. And so hopefully this is good and it's good for you as well. But And then the other thing too, I do want to leave you with is that we are still going to do this stem cell anniversary trips, and we're going to start lining up people. And like Lacey and I talked about Sunday. If you hadn't seen that episode, it's up. But just people giving something for people to look forward to is a big deal, and I think that we really want to make that happen. So you can help us in that. So there's some ways you can give and support us as well, and that would be a huge blessing to us too. So anyway, I guess that's it, y'all. Thanks for joining in and for hanging out with us for a little bit. Much love to you guys. And so if you know someone that's going through a cancer diagnosis or whatever, I'd love to have, just some names and definitely have a prayer list. I believe in that. And so we will check back in with you. I'll let you know when the next episode's coming up. All right. Leave you out with stay true, stay focused. What the purpose is. All right. We'll talk to you later. Have a good night.